and a few people shouting and waving swastikas does not define who Canadians are. Just a short time ago, we had an election in this country where we asked Canadians how they wanted to keep fighting this pandemic. And their answer was clear. Canadians chose vaccines. They chose science. They chose to protect one another. Because Canadians know that's how we get back to the things we love. Dans les dernières semaines,
over the last few weeks, there have been demonstrations across the country, and particularly here in Ottawa. Obviously, people have the right to demonstrate. They have the right to disagree with the government and to be heard. This is a fundamental right that we will always protect and uphold as a democracy. But people do not have the right to block streets illegally, to harass their fellow citizens, people who want to go to work, who want to go to school. They don't have the right to insult those who choose to wear a mask, to get vaccinated, to be there for their fellow citizens.
It has to stop. The people of Ottawa don't deserve to be harassed in their own neighborhoods. They don't deserve to be confronted with the inherent violence of a swastika flying on a street corner, or a Confederate flag, or the insults and jeers just because they're wearing a mask. That's not who Canadians are. That's not what Canadians demonstrated over the past 2 years. This blockade, these protesters, they're not the story of this pandemic. They are not the story of Canadians in this pandemic. Canadians step up to get their first dose of vaccinations. That is the story of the country. People who've been there for each other. Everyone's tired of COVID. But these protests are not the way to get through it. I know people are tired. But we've seen it through the various waves, and they're receding over the past months. These pandemic restrictions are not forever. Canada has one of the highest vaccination rates of our peer countries around the world. Why? And it's not because Canadians love getting needles. It's because Canadians trust science. Canadians trust each other to do the right things. It's in our national psyche of being able to be there for our neighbors. This is a story of a country that got through this pandemic by being united, and a few people shouting and waving swastikas does not define who Canadians are.